What's going on, guys? Martin here from Talking Town. Before we start today's live matchday ticket coverage of the Bristol Rovers Carabao Cup tie with Amy, Martin and Rob, I just want to run you through how you may get today's game, as it's quite a simple process, but if you've never done it before or not quite sure, it can appear quite daunting. So I'm here to help you out and run you through. The first thing you'll need to do is go to your web browser of choice or open up Safari on your phone. I'm going to use Microsoft Edge and simply just type in itfc.co.uk. Here you'll be presented with the Ipswich Town official website. From here, watch Bristol Rovers live, and if you just scroll down or run down with your finger on the Safari page, you'll see click here to purchase a match pass for Town's meeting with Bristol Rovers. From here, it will ask you to sign in or register for a new account. If you've watched any ITFC game through IFOLLOW previously, you should have an account already on file. If not, simply register and then click login. Once you've logged in, it will ask you for your payment card details or PayPal details. Of course, present these to the site, click purchase, and you should now have access to the game. If you do not have access to the game once you have done this, you can of course ask Martin, Rob and Amy in the live show, and we'll be happy to help. Let's get into today's show.
No, we've got one or two lads that won't be available, and but we can't take the risk with them either. I think that not major injuries, but we can't take the risk with them. So we'll pick the strongest team we have available, and then hopefully the lads go and perform and play well.
Hello again, friends, and you are my friends, and welcome into your Matchday Ticket Live Carabao Cup coverage against Bristol Rovers today. If you are there, please say hello and give me your thoughts. I'm, of course, will be joined by Rob and Amy, but that was Paul Lambert, of course, another Lambert. Hopefully that one, hopefully I'm a bit more like, shall we say. Before we do kick off today's coverage, I do just want to highlight one particular person, Curtis Yates. He kindly sent me these prints. There we go. They are absolutely top quality. If you don't know his artwork, his name's Curtis Yates, Facebook, Twitter. Only a tenner it cost me. So it's not a paid plug. I'm paying him. Anyway, so Bristol Rovers is today's coverage. Paul Lambert there with his going to play his strongest team. The team news is out. I will welcome in our first guest before I show you the team news. Mr. Robbie D, welcome in. How you doing, my friend?
All good. All good. Can you hear me okay?
We certainly can. We welcome in. So, have you seen the team news today yet?
I'm just waiting for my thing to load as we speak.
Here we go. It's on the screen
Here
for
we go.
you now.
Literally right now. Literally loaded as I said. You've got there before me.
I certainly have. Yeah. So 4-3-3.
Okay.
You've got Holy in goal. Chambers at right back. Chambers' first appearance at right back for a number of years now. Yeah. Well, I had this conversation on Twitter recently, and maybe you can shed some light. Chambers at right back is a preferable answer than Wolfenden, right?
I would say Chambers at right back is a preferable answer to any of the other centre-backs at right back, to be honest. I would say that he's more solid there than Wilson, more solid there than any of the other options. Maybe Wolfenden might be better at right back, but you miss him at centre-back. So I have the options, I think. I don't know. That probably says to me that Vincent Young, we know, is not fit. Donatian, probably not fully fit. I think that's the third choice right back right there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, if Vincent Young's not fit, then I would go with Chambers every day of the week. I'm a little bit upset. I've got to be honest. Corey Ndarba's not getting his chance to play today. A naturally left-footed centre half. You'd like to see how a back two of Wolfenden and Ndaba stand up against League One foes, right?
It would have been good, but I'm not surprised. I see your point, but I'm not surprised. I think it would have made perhaps more sense to have played him with an older head rather than two younger ones. So I'm not surprised. I can see what you mean. It's always nice to see, your youngsters trying to come through and them giving real first team football, in a competitive game. So I wouldn't have been unhappy with that at any point, to be honest. Nope. But I can see why it is that. But you have to say, Nsiala has been ahead of him in pre-season in all the games, so not a surprise at all for me. No,
it would have been one of those things you would have liked. I've put those out in the excuse role because just before.
Sorry to move to midfield. I was just going to mention obviously the left back we all thought was going to be Ward. It is Ward, right?
Yeah.
But for me, like, he's come in, he's not sort of trying to blood himself, make a career out of it. I mean, it's pretty clear to me that I'm not sure how highly Kenlock is rated, and I think you've then got the same problem on the other side with Cotter. I know Cotter's a bit further down the list and everything, but I mean, there was not that he was ever going to be in, but I'm just saying that if Dinassin's not fit and Vincent Young are fit, surely he's potentially is the next one, but instead we're moving other people out of position. So I think Dinassin is ahead of Cotter. That was a given, but I think you won't see Cotter again, if I'm honest.
No, definitely not. No, definitely
not. Kenlock is obviously way behind Ward. I just think it shows that those young players that we brought through, either the manager doesn't rate them or they haven't sort of got their head straight or whatever it is, but they're not developed as far as perhaps we hoped they would.
So I think I wrote an article early in the summer about Miles Kenlock, and I think a bit like Josh Emmanuel, he now needs to go elsewhere to further his development. It stagnated a little bit at Portman Road for Miles, through no fault of his own, really. He's been made somewhat of I will say it, somewhat of a scapegoat by some people when his performances, okay, in a couple of games weren't great, but overall a young player still finding his feet. Lewis here on Twitter. Welcome, Lewis. Thanks for your comment there. Judge is not a left winger. I won't repeat the last three words because it's a PG show at this time of the afternoon.
It's not a news flash, that, is it? Not a news flash. I think his best football has always been CAM, hasn't it?
Yeah, I personally feel if it is the way I've set it up there, and obviously I'm not Paul Lambert. I know my name is Martin Lambert, but I'm not Paul Lambert, and I don't have the inside track to Paul. If it's set up that way, Rob, Ward and Judge down the left side, that's got to worry you from a pace standpoint, hasn't it?
The left side from any standpoint has worried me for a long time. I think we'd be vulnerable there. Knudsen, Kenlock, Garbett. I don't know. I can't remember the last time we weren't vulnerable down that side. To be quite honest with you, it was for me that left side's been a problem.
Jonas Knudsen's time,
right? Sorry,
Jonas Knudsen's time.
Yeah, I think even including his time, there's a lot of mistakes from that side when we got relegated with him there. You remember the way every team used to target the right side when Chambers was right back. We've seen numerous players breeze past him, penalties given away.
You mean Cameron Stewart?
Yeah, he's one of the examples, but he's not alone. I think we do really suffer down that side. We don't ever stop any crosses.
No, we certainly don't. Even Aaron Cresswell, to an extent. I remember our mutual friend Nick telling us after he watched Cresswell play that he couldn't stop a cross. I disagreed with him somewhat, but that's the way it is. Looking at a few comments coming in, Lewis again, sorry, but he creates so much more as an attacking midfield player. Not disagreeing with that whatsoever, Lewis. I think you're spot on the money this afternoon, and I really value your comments because you really are right there. On Facebook, we've got Liam Wright. Welcome in, Liam. Kenlock's not a scapegoat. He's just terrible. That's your opinion, Liam. I disagree a little bit. Rob, what do you think on that one?
Somewhere between the two. You don't become a scapegoat unless you've done plenty of things wrong. I don't know. I think he's just one of many. I mean, the recent career he's obviously been partly involved in last year's failure, certainly involved in the previous year's failure, in and out. And I think when he's come in for Knudsen and Garbett, either way, I wouldn't say he's grasped the position. He could have probably had that position over either of them, really. I think, and now over Ward, and for me, he's always been behind all three of them. Knudsen, Garbett, and now Ward. He needs to start getting ahead of some of these players. Otherwise, like you said, you can see him going to another League One club or perhaps lower in a similar way to Emmanuel.
Yeah, absolutely. And welcome in another contributor this afternoon, Amy Downes. How are we doing, Tractor Girl, Amy?
Hi, sorry I'm late.
That's okay. We called you out from the pub, so I can forgive you.
I've not seen my best mate. We've seen each other from a distance, but we've always had the kids. She had her little boy just before lockdown started, so we've not really seen each other properly. And lunchtime was the best chance to do it for a long time. So
now I do feel incredibly guilty.
No, don't be silly. It's you've made sure that I've kept just one bottle of wine, which is a nice, which is no bad thing for me because we know how much I like to waffle and rant when I've had a bottle of wine.
Yes, with or without the wine, some would say. I'm joking, of course. So that team is on the screen right now, Amy. Rob was mentioning players getting in ahead of other players. Aaron Drinan starts today against League One opposition in Bristol Rovers, obviously at the Carabao Cup. But what a chance for the 22-year-old, right?
Oh, absolutely. I would say the same for Dazelle personally as well. Good chance to make themselves known and sort of state their case for being included in the first team. And I hope they, I hope they achieve it, because I think we all want the youngsters to be coming through this year. This is the time to do it, really, because the players that were, the staple, the backbone of the team last year are getting some of them are getting a little bit too old now and perhaps ready for moving on. So we need the youngsters pulling themselves through. And, with Norrs being a bit injured at the minute, and Jackson sounds like he's not necessarily staying and so forth. So absolutely a chance to show what they're worth. But personally, would have liked to have seen the team that he's planning on playing once we get into the season. I'm not convinced that's it. I'm not convinced that's our strongest side.
Well,
personally.
no. But to be fair to Paul, I feel a bit like Jon Snow in the Battle of the Bastards a little bit, because I stand there and I defend the man sometimes, and I'm defending him here again, it seems, but he's got a lot of injuries. For a bloated squad, he's got a lot of injuries. So that's a little bit tricky. Aaron Drinan's a guy that's been on the periphery for a while. Mark Heath at Archant loves him. Obviously, a few other people on Twitter. Luke Penning, friend of the show, likes his work. At 22, 2 goals last year for Ayr in the Scottish Championship. Other than Colchester United, we've not seen the best of Aaron Drinan yet. He's got to take what opportunities are given to him. Rob, what do you want to see from him today? What do you want to see from Aaron Drinan?
Well, first I would say is that I think it just shows, we've got a bloated squad. It's a bit like last time you kept hearing we've got the best squad in the league, but we finished 11th. Now we've got a bloated squad, yet a couple of injuries, and all of a sudden we're back to the bare bones. I think my bloated and their bloated might not be the same bloated. But I think, by all means, it's great to see a young player that we have sort of helped produce come through the ranks and get his chance. It always is, said that about Ndaba. But I think it does show just how short we are, really. There's all this talk about Norwood, Jackson leaving, probably all not going to happen. But they're not fit, and straight away we're back to a guy that was probably 3 or 4 places below Will Keane last season. Sorry.
Yeah, but that's okay, because players can emerge.
Yeah, I'm absolutely right. There's been plenty of examples of players that come out of the abyss. I remember when Josh Carson came on the scene. I think he was only ever anywhere near the team because of the level of injuries, and obviously
Bristol Rovers, wasn't it? Funnily enough,
it might have been Bristol City, I think. But anyway,
Bristol City. Sorry, yeah.
Back when we were playing Bristol City, dizzy heights. But yeah, so I think players can emerge, as you said. But I mean, we're supposed to be one of the strongest teams in the league, and first 2 players are out for whatever reason. Can be a number of reasons, but the first 2 strikers aren't available, and straight away we're down to already the bare bones. I mean, I really hope Drinan does deliver, but the ironic thing is we actually need him to.
Yeah,
it has
absolutely.
to work. It has to work.
So we've got some comments coming in. James New. I started to think James New might have been Aaron Drinan himself, but as he's playing today, I struggle to think he'd probably in the dressing room watching our live show. He might be
him in the same room, though, have you?
No, he might be. Last time I interacted in the live show was after Tottenham, saying it's Drinan's year, get his chance. And then a bit later on, he says, Drinan, hat-trick today. James, if he scores a hat-trick today, I'll buy you a pint, my friend. I would love it. Love to see it. Rob Purley, welcome into the show, my friend. Love to see Lancaster start today, but very happy Driman's been given the chance. Bradley Hembro, is Chambers playing right back? He is playing right back. And Emerson Fairweather
that went so well last time.
Well, Emerson Fairweather says what I would say. Chambers better at right back than a centre back. What do you think, Amy?
I'm not sure Chambers is right in any position. Don't tell anyone I said that. Yes, there is potential. I do get what you're saying there, because his best season for us was the year that we got into the playoffs against Norwich, and he was right back then, wasn't he? So there absolutely is an argument. I do get that, but I think last year he was shown up when he was in that position because he wasn't fast enough for the wingers of the opposition team. So for me, I think personally the only reason Chambers would be the first person on the team sheet for me, but it isn't because of his wonderful footballing skills. It is because of his leadership and
You're
Love you
crazy.
too, dear.
You're crazy.
I think he's needed. I think especially when you look at that team, growing in experience. They are young. They need somebody there leading them. And for me, if he's going to do that, he needs to be doing it in the central defence position personally. And I know that he made a lot of mistakes last year, but I didn't think him and Wolfie would. I thought they were okay in the back. And I'd rather see those two together. Personally, I'd rather see Chambers and Wolfie than Wolfie and Ciala, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I think Toto is. I think Toto's a great. I'm not going to say great. That's a bit hard.
Great player.
Too far. That was a bit too far. A bit too enthusiastic.
You weren't at Accrington away, were you?
I certainly was not. No, I don't go to away games that often. Rob's coming in. I can see him getting ready to say something.
You can say with Toto, he does 9 out of 10 things right, but the 10th thing he does wrong
is a goal.
Is catastrophic, isn't it? Every time. By the way, another thing I was going to say, I do agree with Amy's point about Chambers. I do think he plays best football for the club at right back. But the irony about that is that one, he's a centre back, and his best football for the club has been at right back. And the second thing is that when he was at right back, everyone wanted him out because we were getting exposed down that side. So if that's where he's played his best football, then I think the definition of legend definitely needs to be revisited. We've got some at our club. I don't think he's not in the same book.
Don't start.
That's a whole other discussion.
That is right. We are 11 minutes away from kickoff. Let's get some more Paul Lambert thoughts.
He wasn't in a fit state of mind to play the game, as he told me. As I said, if it was me, I'd have played. But everybody's different, and because he was playing well in training, and he was fine. And then yesterday was the way it was. So, but his welfare is important to me. That's important.
That was, of course, Paul Lambert on Flynn Downes not playing today because apparently he's asked not to be selected. Where do we stand on this, Rob? Obviously, Flynn, it looks like he's going to be leaving the football club. Dozzell, Nolan and Bishop get the nod today. Who would you have liked to maybe seen today, or who do you think is going to be a long-term replacement for Flynn? And do you agree with him not playing?
I'm never going to agree with him not playing, I'm afraid. I don't know exactly, but I'm pretty sure he's been there since he was 5, 6, 7, something around that kind of era, of his life. I think, someone said this week that keep your head down and play until the valuation's met. I agree also. I do think he will go, but as we sit here today, valuation hasn't been met. They've put a bid in for this much, second bid. We've said we want X amount. Yeah, well, was he not going to play until we reach that point? What if that point's January? What if that point's the last day of the transfer window, 11:59 or whatever the last minute is? So he's not going to play till then. I mean, he needs to take his time off, fine, miss this game, but I want to see him in that team next Saturday. If he's still here, if he's still here, I want to see him playing. Simple as that. If take his time off now, perhaps if it's a Carabao Cup game, the world's gonna keep turning, but we need him in that team.
Yes, do we though? Because we've got a number of midfield players, and it's nice to see some guys getting involved. Martin Green here, good to see Dozzell on the team. Really hope this is his year. And Downes leaving may open the door for Dozzell, Amy.
Not really. He's been injured on and off for a while, hasn't he? And Dozzell hasn't managed to make his mark. And Dozzell had his chance last year, and don't get me wrong, I would love to see him step up. And personally, I think that League One is too gritty for him, and I can't see him. I can't see him doing any better this year than he did last year. It would be lovely if Lambert would give him the chance to, and perhaps today will be the time for him to start sort of proving himself and making his mark, as I keep saying. But I think that Downes has been injured and not playing for a while, and Dozzell still hasn't managed to cement himself in that first team. So I think he's already had that chance, personally.
So your midfield three there is Dozzell, Nolan and Bishop. Is that, if Downes is gone, okay, Downes is gone and you don't bring anybody else in, is that the midfield three you are starting against Wigan with, or do you see somebody else as a step in for Flynn Downes, Amy? Who's your replacement?
Well, I would have preferred to see Huws. Is he not match fit yet?
He's on the bench.
So I'm assuming he's not match fit. I don't know. Maybe Lambert's I would rather have him there personally. I think you've got to start the season, and I include today in that, with your strongest team to go forward. And I think they need to be playing the strongest team so that they get used to playing together, particularly with having had 6 months off. I know it's not off. I know they've been training before anybody starts with that, because all of us have still been working for the last 6 months. But I personally would rather see the strongest team, and for me, that is Huws, that is Judge, that is Downes if we keep him, and that is Bishop.
Fair enough.
I'm
Adam
still
Flatt, though.
clinging on to Downes.
Adam Flatt says it, Amy. Huws hasn't been match fit for 4 years.
Valid point. But then probably a discussion for a different podcast, but there is something seriously worrying about the number of injuries that we have at the moment. And is it because we pick up players like Huws, who is a bit injury prone, or is there something going on in the training that is stopping them sort of like protecting themselves, or are they? I don't know. I don't know enough about it to make a judgment on what is causing it, but we are definitely having far too many injuries for, as you've just been saying, for a team that's so bloated. Why have we got so many injuries that are causing us selection problems, basically?
Yeah, yeah, and that's something that we would definitely be exploring. I can see coming up through this season. It's already started. But Rob,
yeah.
Huws not match fit. Obviously, no Dozel, Nolan, Bishop. Your midfield three. Bishop you can't really rely on because he's had a number of injuries. Who's your replacement, Rob? I've not got that from you yet. Who do you feel can step forward or fits the midfield? You know, I've got Bradley Embro here. McGavin should have his chance. Where do you stand?
Right, well, firstly, I thought that, I think Huws is effectively really still living off that loan spell. We all remember that goal against Newcastle and so on. We all thought he's a cracking player to pick up on a free transfer. That hasn't really worked out. He certainly didn't take the shirt by the grasp last season either. Dozel, I think, has always shown flashes, but never consistently enough. And I think you talk about openings and opportunities for him. I think he's had plenty. I think we'd all love to see it work out for him. There's plenty of history with the Dozel name. I think I speak for everyone. I think when I say that all of us would like to see it work out. So I really hope this is his season. Nolan has probably had more opportunities than any of the others put together.
Yep.
Yeah.
Still in the team. Bishop, again, you could say that plenty of opportunities is often not delivered, but he has shown a lot of spark when he's been fit and playing. So you have to say if he's fit and going, then you put him in the team. I can see what they're saying about McGavin. I think all the others have really not grasped that Flynn Downes shirt and Flynn Downes role position when they've given the chance. McGavin's the only one that hasn't really been given a fair hit, really. He hasn't been given a run of games, a lot of minutes. So for me, he's the next one to step up into that role because he's the next on the production line, and all the others that are around have had chances and not done it. So by default, I think he's the replacement.
And isn't that the whole 5-point plan as well? You set a player like Flynn Downes for big money to go and maybe improve other areas of the team, and then someone like Brett McGavin, who's coming through your youth academy, he steps forward. Maybe not 46 games this year, but certainly more than one 45-minute appearance last season we got out of him. Yeah, 20 years of age. It's time to come onto the scene.
I would say two things about that. One, sell on for big money. I'd like to see the definition of big money. And two, I'd like to see McGavin play more than Scouse this season. That for me is a minimum, because Scouse is another player playing that CDM role, as is Downes, as is McGavin. If we want to go forward, then for me, McGavin should really be ahead of Scouse from the start. So I want to see him playing more games than Scouse as a starting block.
Yep. I would probably agree. Okay, let's get one last thought with Paul Lambert, and then we'll discuss today's game with 4 minutes left to go.
I never read too much into it, whether you win every game or you lose every game. It's when the real thing starts, and some of the football we've played has been really good, and now it kind of starts for real. And then let's see how we've progressed.
Yeah, there's been a big emphasis on that identity you're looking to build. How pleased have you been with the players buying into that?
They've been great, the guys. They've been trying it. You've got to remember, it's a really difficult situation, this, because they've not played real competitive football for 5 months or so. So that's been a difficult situation. So everybody's the same. We'll go tomorrow. We'll try and play the best we can. Try and get a result to go through, and hopefully that will happen to us.
Amy, I'm going to come to you first. talk of identity there, talk of identity through the summer with the fans. Do you want to see that identity carry on today against Bristol Rovers, that playing out from the back, or do you want to see maybe a shift of emphasis into just playing in the right areas, but not necessarily in your own 18-yard box?
I just want to see consistency. If that's the identity that he thinks we've got now, then stick with it. Stop playing with it. Stop messing around. Just stay with it. And of course, we're going to get injuries come up. We're going to get worked out by the opposition, and there will have to be some adapting as the season goes on. But right now, we've been away for 6 months. We need consistency. We need the same team playing week in, week out as much as we can. We need the same formation. We need to stand strong. We are one of the best teams on paper in this league. We need to show it this year and not start faffing about with the team and the formations. Just go at it and act like we are the big fish in the little pond that we really should be. Rob, what do you think about that?
Well, yeah, I would like to see us just be a competitive fish, to be honest, in the pond. I don't know. I just feel like it's hard not to be negative at Ipswich. It sort of seems to come naturally now. If you talk to anyone, whether they care or not about us, it's all negative, just all jokes or puns or this or that. And that's before we get to what Norwich thinks. So I'd rather we just worry about us going. I want to see us making some forward steps in this game, in this month, in this season. We've been going backwards and sideways. You know, we've been following the Ledbetter path of sideways and backwards for too long now. Let's try and control our own destiny for a change. Last
30 seconds. I want a score prediction from you. Rob, you first. Very quickly.
I'm going 2-1 win.
Amy?
2-0 win.
2-0 win. Okay, so
I've had a wine. I'm being positive.
2-1 and 2-0. I'm going to go for a 3-0. And if James New is correct with the Drinan hat-trick, I'll buy him a pint. We'll be back here, guys, at half-time for a quick 10-minute roundup before the full-time coverage show. So back here at half-time. But enjoy today's game. It's the first competitive action since March. It's crazy, but football is back, and I am so excited. Join us all at half-time. See you then.